And we are back with the third segment of the GSMC Basketball Podcast, presented by the GSMC Sports Network. And in this third segment, we are going to talk about Chris Paul signing with the San Antonio Spurs and teaming up with the alien, probably one of the best rookies to ever set foot on a basketball court. One of them, obviously, I still think LeBron James is one of the best rookies, but Victor Wembanyama is a very, very close second. Like, if you put Victor over LeBron, I have no problem with that, honestly. But, Victor Wembanyama, whoops, that's not Victor Wembanyama. Oops. That's Victor Wembanyama right there, the alien, as they like to call it. And there's Chris Paul. Chris Paul is 6'3", by the way, or 6'2", however you want to call it, and he looks like a toddler compared to Victor Wembanyama. And the way that this signing ended up happening, it was a lot happened to that caused this to happen. So the Warriors, they were holding Chris Paul, and they've also been holding Andrew Wiggins for trade offers. Now, I find it very, very, very odd how, the Warriors, they really wanted to trade Andrew Wiggins. Here comes a trade, and they decline it. And the trade was supposed to be between the Warriors and the Chicago Bulls. Now, Golden State, they obviously, Klay Thompson, he's on his way out, so they were preparing for him to leave, and the Warriors, they obviously wanted to add some talent to replace Klay Thompson, because that's the thought process. Klay Thompson is going to end up leaving. But one thing that they ended up doing was they ended up turning down a trade from the Chicago Bulls that would have sent Zach LaVine over to the Golden State Warriors. Now, the Bulls, and they've been struggling to try and trade Zach LaVine. They almost cannot trade Zach LaVine because, the amount of money that he has on his contract, a lot of teams are going to be, they could potentially be in the second apron if they do take that player. But, this, it's really sad how the Bulls, they really want to trade Zach LaVine, but not a single team is interested in getting Zach LaVine. It's really, really unfortunate, and it's a really bad situation that the Bulls find themselves in. They're trying to find a new home for Zach LaVine, and Chris Haynes, an NBA insider, he recently revealed that Chicago attempted to send Zach LaVine to Golden State. In exchange, the Bulls wanted to get Chris Paul and Andrew Wiggins, as well as a couple of picks, I believe. But let me see. The Warriors, they declined it, which again says a lot about Zach LaVine's overall value league-wide, because, everyone is declining trade left and right for Zach LaVine. And, the Warriors, they're reportedly shopping Andrew Wiggins on the market, but it's clear that they want nothing to do with Zach LaVine. They also turned down a chance to get something out of Chris Paul, as opposed to their decision to, they just decided to waive him. That was really what it was. After the trade proposal came in for Chris Paul, they declined the trade proposal, and then the Warriors decided to waive Chris Paul entirely. Now, this ultimately ended up favoring Victor Wembanyama, because now Chris Paul, he's a San Antonio Spur. And I've said several times, I've said it every single time, that Victor Wembanyama, he needs that point guard. He needs that, that pass-first point guard that's able to play make, that's able to set him up with lobs, that's able to set him up with good looks, and is actually willing to give him the ball and let him do things with the ball. He finally has that now. Chris Paul, while he is relatively old, and arguably, according to some fans and, according to the media, and, just based off of the numbers and what he's done previously in his career, he's a little bit, I don't want to say he's washed up, but I will say he is rather old. He can't do this forever, but his longevity is ridiculous, I just say. But as a playmaker, he hasn't lost a step whatsoever. Him in the pick and roll is it's almost automatic. I mean, I haven't every single time in a pick and roll, he loves to lean on that mid-range shot. He is money at that mid-range area. And not only that, Chris Paul, if you guys don't remember, back in the day when he was on the Clippers in 2014, 2015 and 2016, those years, he was the main catalyst and the best player on the Clippers for Lob City. And like Blob City, that was Chris Paul, Blake Griffin, and DeAndre Jordan. In case you guys forgot, and it was just lob after lob after lob. Chris Paul was phenomenal with Blake Griffin and DeAndre Jordan. Unfortunately, it didn't translate in the postseason, but this isn't really like. I'm not entirely sure if that's really what we're going for or what the Spurs are going for when they were getting Chris Paul. They just wanted a good point guard that would set Victor Wembanyama up and just allow Victor Wembanyama to do the things that he needs to do. And I really think this is actually going to help Victor in the future, because Victor in his rookie season, that was arguably the worst that we've seen Victor Wembanyama, which is scary because he almost won Defensive Player of the Year. Almost. And obviously, he won Rookie of the Year unanimously. Anybody that was saying he wasn't going to win Rookie of the Year is just a hater or doesn't understand basketball. Like, he was by far, like, the best rookie in that entire class. And he's only going to get better. Now, with Chris Paul, they might accelerate just how good he's going to be. Now, I genuinely think, there's not really much effort that Chris Paul would have to put into this either. I mean, he is 7'4". In a pick and roll, this is going to be deadly. And, because no one can really go up there and catch the ball, with him. And it's really going to be a sight to see. It's Lob City Part 2. This is what I call it. Lob City Part 2. It's going to be a phenomenal thing to see. I'm very excited for the season and for Victor Wembanyama to ball out. And I honestly think that sending Chris Paul over there, while he might not be the young point guard that I wanted to pair with Victor Wembanyama to be, the duo for long term, this will help them. This will help them for a while, just for the 1 year that he has it, just a little bit. And if Victor can learn, maybe Victor can learn a couple of things from Chris Paul, because one thing that separates Victor from every other center is the ability to handle the ball like he's a guard. He has a crazy handle. From the clips that you can watch it from clips, you can watch it from everywhere. He has a crazy handle for being a center. Obviously, I'm not saying that he's the only center that has a handle, but his handle, for being a rookie, it's incredibly solid. So the fact that he has the play style, that he's able to play like a guard, obviously it's going to benefit him in the long term with his game, but he could learn a couple of things from Chris Paul, and how to be a facilitator, how to be a passer, how to be a much better passer. He could learn that, because one of the weaknesses about Victor Wembanyama's game is arguably the fact that that his passing isn't up to par. That was the only stat that he wasn't leading all rookies in. Now, obviously, that might not necessarily be his role on the team, so you're not really expecting him to get the assists. But if he could learn from Chris Paul, the importance of, passing, where to make the right play, how to do this, how to do that, that could expand his game, to a whole new level. Just being a passer and then he would literally be a 7'4" point guard, which is scary to think about. It is very, very scary to think about. And really, I'm very excited. The sky's the limit for this guy. And Chris Paul, he's going to throw so many lobs to Victor. It's going to be so much fun to watch. Maybe now the Spurs, as a team, they might, not to mention, another thing that Chris Paul brings, is his leadership. He is a pretty good leader in the regular season. Again, this is only for the regular season, because as much praise as I'm giving Chris Paul, he is notorious for losing in the playoffs when he shouldn't lose in the playoffs. Notorious. Like, he's blown several leads before in the postseason, and he's blown several 2-0 leads, he's blown 3-2 leads, he's blown 3-1 leads. Like, it happens, and it's really, it's really unfortunate that a point guard with the resume of Chris Paul is only going to be remembered as a playoff choker and somebody who can't get it done when the lights shine the brightest. That's really, it's unfortunate, and I really wish that wasn't the case. But this is going to help Victor in the long run, for the regular season. But that's all I have for this third segment. So now we will go ahead and go into the fourth segment. Jesus, what is up with me today with these segments? We're going to go ahead and go into the fourth segment, where I talk more about free agency. I'm actually going to talk about two different topics in free agency. So I'm going to talk about Klay Thompson again, and the teams that are looking to possibly get him, as well as the DeJounte Murray trade that I do want to touch up on, because I am very surprised with this trade. So I will be right back after this short break. Be sure to stay tuned.
For the best and latest podcasts available anywhere, go to the podcast app on your cell phone and type in GSMC to access free content-rich podcasts on health and wellness, book reviews, sports, entertainment, relationships, social media, movies, technology, finance, and even weird news. Subscribe and download the GSMC Podcast Network's family of shows, available everywhere podcasts are found.